Hello and welcome back to RageGamingVideos. My name is Hollow and today we're back for another set of things you didn't know you could do in Elden Ring. Some things that are interesting and cool to be aware of, some things that are very beneficial and very useful to use in your playthroughs. Just like last time, you guys gave me so many great comments about the things we talked about in the video, or things I didn't even know or wasn't even aware of that we could put into another. So we're back with more, some that I've got from my own research and some that I have from you guys. So a huge thank you for that. Let's jump in to our third set of things you didn't know in Elden Ring. We begin then with Gostoc. This is the Stormveil Castle Stalker, because you may not have realized that he literally stalks you throughout Stormveil Castle, and he can rob you. Yes, because while you're in Stormveil Castle and Gostoc is stalking you, he will steal some of your runes when you die. This friendly NPC is the one that helps you find the secret passage at the very beginning of Stormveil. Or if you tell him that you're going to go to the main gate, he'll call that gate open on your behalf. He's the same guy that stomps on Godric after you killed him. That's Gostoc. But yeah, he actually stalks you during your progress of Stormveil, and it's pretty creepy. He will steal a % of your runes if you die during this, and that is kind of his hope. It's a lot, roughly 30% of what I lost. Here are his various locations as you progress through Stormveil Castle. At first, he'll follow you up the cliff. After you actually begin entering the castle via his secret route, you can quickly turn back and see him sat there watching us from a distance. If at any point we go back and talk to him during the stalking, he will be quite surprised, a bit concerned, freaked out, and he'll give you a mimic grace saying, oh, it's a reward he was saving for you. But if we don't talk to him, he will keep stalking us. But as we progress onwards, we'll eventually find a closed door leading to a room with a banished knight. And as we enter that, suddenly the door will close and lock behind us, and then there's this cruel laughter. Yeah, pretty creepy, right? I was confused by that. Why is it that this specific banished knight laughs like that? As it turns out, you can actually hear the laughter. The source of that laughter is coming specifically from the door, and that laughter is Gostoc. He locks us in here with the knight, hoping that we'll die. And again, he'll use our remains for his purposes. Next, though, if we progress higher up, we can then turn around and go back to the bottom, and we can see him down below with his lantern. After that, we move forward to the Rampart Tower Grace. We can move out onto the wall with the birds, but if we turn back and go check the main elevator room, he'll show up there, helping himself to the remains of this fellow.
Rubbish. Another one, all skin and bones. Worse than a petty squire. Not a muscle on this one either.
Interesting how he says that this guy's not got any, worthy muscle to him. Lastly, though, he'll appear on the roof of the building we find Rogier actually in originally. By progressing into the main hall of Stormveil Castle, then turning around and returning to the Rogier building, we can see Gostoc stalking us for the last time on the roof. Now, if we do attack him at any point during the stalking, he'll fight you and, of course, try to kill you if he can. And if he manages it, he'll say this.
Oh, don't worry. I've got big plans for what's left of you.
Yeah, he plans to use your body parts to graft to himself, to gain power in the same way that Godric does. Now yeah, after I killed him, I got all of my missing runes back. All of them, confirming Gostoc stole them. Overall, I find this guy a super interesting character, and I'm glad they gave him more story in 1.03 as well. Even more interesting though is how easy it is to miss this interesting stalking interaction, and how yeah, he is robbing you and you might not know. Last time I spoke about fall damage and how you can tell if you're going to die to it using the very useful item, the rainbow stone. We can throw these over the side and it will crack as it lands max fall distance, displaying that if you fall off there, mate, you are dead. So we can use these to kind of reveal that, and it won't break and just light up the area if you are going to survive that fall. I find that useful, but it is a limited supply. While we can craft them, yes, using ruin fragments, which we can get many of, you guys actually let me know in the comments a really useful tip. At any time, we can find out whether we're going to fall via fall damage by using a trick anyone can use without a resource like the rainbow stones. All you need to do is go up to the ledge you're not sure about and attack. As you can see, I am not falling off this ledge. I am hitting an invisible wall. That is because I'm going to fall to my death. Let's take a drop that I'm clearly going to survive. Say use the rainbow stones. I'll survive that. So as I go to this edge and then try to attack, I will progress forward and actually fall off the ledge. So isn't that interesting? They have a mechanic in-game where it prevents you from falling to your death accidentally during combat, literally giving an invisible wall, a barrier, to prevent you doing that. A surprising detail that, yeah, I definitely didn't know, so thank you for letting me know. Next then, we progress on from something that I gave you as a tip in the first episode, where you can actually recover health by watching bloodstains kill themselves, as long as they're riding torrent at the time. Well, there's another way we can restore health, and it's a lot faster, a lot more consistent, we can do it wherever. It's by simply equipping 2 different items, or helmet pieces rather, the Karalos Glintstone Crown and the Olivinus Glintstone Crown. Increases your intelligence to the detriment of stamina, increases intelligence to the detriment of HP. As you can see, I'm a little bit hurt right now, so let's equip one, and then equip the other, and equip one, and equip the other, and so on and so forth. And as you can see, my health has just skyrocketed. I haven't used anything. I just did exactly what I told you. Look, we'll do the last little bit of health now. So we got one, put the other on, 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 blah, blah, blah. Take it off, and we're full health. Yeah, you have infinite healing anywhere in the game without needing a flask, and you don't need any, like, special weapon or rune combination or bloodstain in a specific death. You can just swap between these crowns. I guess the idea is that, you know, you're increasing your intelligence but lowering your health. So when you take that off, you get your health back. But it has a strange interaction with the increased intelligence to the detriment of stamina status. And it's just accidentally actually increasing your health as you swap between these two. Our next tip is all to do with the White Shadow lure. This is the Ash of War, which you can find right here in the inner consecrated snowfield area. It's an invisible scarab that's patrolling around, and if you kill it, it will give you the Ash of War. It's a simple and low FP Ash of War. You use it and you place a distraction, a lure on the ground. It is like the alluring skulls of the older games. Enemies will be drawn to it and put their back to you, giving you opportunities to attack them. The reason we're at this grace is because, yes, this enemy right here is really annoying before the Godskin duo boss fight. I place it on the ground, it distracts him, he puts his back to me. That means I can get a backstab. And as you can see, I'm combining that with certain talismans that benefit critical hits. Let's place this one over here. He'll actually shift his attack during it, facing away from me. This guy's an annoying enemy because he does lots of AoE. There we go. There's the kill. And yeah, I'm combining that with these 2 talismans, the Assassin's Crimson Dagger and the Cerulean Dagger. These restore HP and FP when you get a backstab or critical hit. So I can kind of infinitely do this and infinitely place this Ash of War. It's cool. It kind of looks like a grace, like a silver grace. And as you can see, we can aim it quite high up into the air, which can be used to our benefit at ledges and edges against certain enemies and bosses, like this Knight's Cavalry that we send off the side of the bridge. Admittedly, it did survive because I didn't pick a high enough spot, but it is interesting to see that we can actually bait enemies off the side of things using this Ash of War. I didn't even realize it was in the game. It's very nice to have. Recently on these videos, we were talking about how you can actually do a heavy attack and then backstep out of it to do a flip with a curved sword. Or with a thrusting weapon, you'll actually do a little backstep stab, which is kind of cool. Now, all weapons actually have a backstep attack, where you backstep and then attack, and you'll do a little charge forward. That is specifically best with a longer range weapon, like a spear or something, or when you're power stancing weapons like I am, you can actually do a unique attack using that. Now, if you aren't aware, you can use that to your advantage by using it like so, backstepping towards your target and then pulling out the L1 to catch them out. This is actually a long-range gap closer, which can certainly catch people off guard and works best, certainly, in PvP, where mind games like this are actually relevant. This is something that should really be in your toolkit for PvP. Doing your running L1 to roll catch is very good. Using jump attacks to give yourself iframes on your lower half, as well as poise to trade effectively where necessary, or catching people out with surprise crouch attacks, especially with long-range weapons, that can work really well too. Another really important tip then is to use this backstep attack, especially with your longer range weapons like these gatekeeper, to catch people out with these long range poke. I would just say try not to be obvious with it, where you're clearly standing there with your back to them and then you just do it, miss, and now they know what you're doing. You want to pull it out mid fight when they're not really expecting. You see, it's very easy to quickly do, like so. something to keep in mind and something I thought I should include in this video. Next, I come to you in this dark, weird cave for no reason in particular to talk to you about grab attacks. There's two that have these really cool, unique animations, and I'm wondering if you guys know about more. The land octopuses of the world, these disgusting, tentacly things, they actually have a grab attack where they rear up, do a leap, and grab you, and I don't know, it's rarely ever landed on me, but as it turns out, when you die, there's a unique animation during that grab attack where you're kind of consumed and sucked in and the camera follows you. It's super gross, very rarely seen, very cool, but it reminds me of another animation I've seen more times than I'd like to admit. I've been doing some speedruns in my time, and that includes fighting Rykard very early in the game. At level 28, I end up going and fighting Rykard, and it's a big challenge, and so I must admit, I died during those runs quite a bit when I was learning. And as I saw during those runs, Rykard also has a unique eat or grab animation where the snake actually tries to bite you and eat you, and if you die during that, you have this really cool like flip up and munch animation as the jaws wrap around you, and then again, the camera follows you down the neck as you are consumed, slowly slithering down, and of course becoming family. Just a little neat detail that I've seen in the game, and really cool for you guys to let me know because I didn't know about the octopus one. Both of these animations are really cool, and I'm glad to see like subtle, neat things like that. But speaking about grab attacks and animations, I have a little tip for you. This tip is about getting out of grab attacks as fast as possible, because obviously they deal damage to you over time, they can be very deadly, especially early game, and they're really annoying to deal with just being grabbed and having control taken from your grasp. Fortunately, there's a way to reduce the damage you take and get out of those annoying animations, get out of those grabs faster. So I'm here with this Iron Maiden. Let's see how long this grab actually lasts. Now let's try and break out of it. What we're doing is we're pressing the bumper keys on the actual controller to break out way faster. Yeah, so pressing buttons, pressing like whatever you can, spamming buttons as quick as you can to get out of those grab attacks. Let's absolutely spam a load of buttons now. I'm pressing absolutely tons here to get out as quick as possible. I'm coming out pretty quick. But yeah, thankfully that's a straightforward and easy to apply tip. If you didn't know, you can get out of grab attacks quicker just by spamming some buttons during the grab. Alright, this next one's kind of a funny one. It comes from the comments. Someone was letting me know that there's a special thing you can do when you're using a great shield. By crouching while you're using a great shield, you do a, quote, special pump animation to restore your stamina very quickly. It's just something about the great shields, the whole type of shield that we can use in the game. The heaviest, biggest, most protective one. Great shields, unfortunately, you cannot crouch while you're using them. As you can see, I just get kind of knocked out the animation. But apparently, if I spam crouch while blocking, I can quickly restore my stamina. So let's have a look at that. So we're going to get in combat here. We're going to spend all my stamina by spamming some rolls out. And then we're going to try this pump animation to quickly recover our stamina. Here we go. I mean, it works. I am pumping up some stamina really quick. Instead of just kind of standing around waiting it for it to naturally regen, I can basically start up the animation. Yeah, and I'm actually getting stamina by doing that. It is actually bursting stamina back. If I do just one crouch, I see. So if I do one crouch, it's not going to be like all the stamina. It is really, you should spam the crouch to recover the stamina. It's similar to the trick that I use when I'm running around the world that comes from speedrunning. I learned this originally by learning speedrunning. As you can see, while I'm in combat, I'm sprinting around and I'm spending stamina. Eventually, I'm going to run out and that's going to be a problem. Unless I do a quick crouch. And as you can see, it gives me a nice chunk of stamina. Not the full thing, but a really respectable chunk of stamina back. So when you're playing the game, when you're in combat and you want to keep running, you don't want to fight, you can just infinitely sprint by doing a little crouch and then standing up again and immediately just sprinting again. It also gives me a bit back when he stabs me, as it turns out. That's interesting. But yeah, two tricks there to get your stamina back. One for your great shield users, and then one for anyone sprinting around in combat. And so we come to the last tip of the video, another one to do with how you can control your character in beneficial ways using certain attacks. As you'll likely know, when you attack a wall, you're gonna bounce off of it as your weapon physically strikes this barrier, right? That's really annoying when you're in the middle of a fight and you're trying to attack someone, you're dealing with an enemy, and then you're bouncing off a wall accidentally, interrupting your attack, and then maybe you get hit. Especially when enemies' attacks can go through walls, their weapons just seem to phase through walls. Well, finally in the Souls series, even though this has been something we've dealt with for years, we finally have an option as to deal with enemies in that situation. When you do a jump attack, you do not bounce off of the wall. And beyond that, and better than that, your weapon actually pierces through the weapon and will deal damage on the other side of the wall. So when you're dealing with an enemy that's attacking you through a wall, if you do a jump attack and then attack through the wall, you can fight back. Or at very least, in those tight situations where there's a wall and, you know, you don't want to bounce, you can just make sure you do a jump attack and prevent the bounce. Like so. I want to make sure I'm not going to bounce on the wall as I strike when I'm standing near it on my right, so I just do jump attacks. This prevents a very awkward situation from happening where I'm trying to attack and I'm bouncing at the same time. Catacombs are probably the best example of where this can be relevant and useful, because if we're dealing with tight corridors and tight spaces, tight corners, you don't want to be bouncing there. But it's important you know how this actually works. When you are moving through the air and doing that attack, you will not bounce. So, as I am moving through the air, I am not bouncing. But let's say I'm static in the air and I try to do it. I'm gonna bounce. So I have to actually be moving, you know, going in a direction before I can prevent the bounce. Otherwise, what will happen is I will actually bounce because I'm not moving. So just make sure you're moving when you do this to prevent that bounce. But there you have it. That is our third set of things you didn't know you could do in Elden Ring. Hopefully some of these were interesting or useful to you. Once again, if you guys have any tips to do with what we talked about today, or if there's any we've not talked about yet that you know that you can share with us, then please do so. We might put it into another video. It's been quite interesting and very enjoyable for me to make these videos because, yeah, I am learning a lot too. Some of it is just interesting and some of it is really useful. If you have enjoyed the video and want to see more like this, please drop a like so we can keep making more. But for now, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.